Welcome to HMS, let the power flow. Feel the rhythm in your veins. Every rapid nitro flame.
All right, so in this final video, looking at different training methods, we are actually covering skill and tactical development training. Now, I know nobody cares about this at all, but I actually filmed this video yesterday and my mic cut out, so the whole thing was silent. So here we are again. So this, I don't know, this may feel a little bit rushed, but I'm trying not to rush. It's just that I'm a little bit impatient and I did this already. So take two. All right, so when we're talking about skill and tactical development training, you can sort of break these two things up. We can do skill training and we can do tactics training, all right? Now, for a lot of sports, for example, all sports, I should say, have skills in them, but not all sports have tactics where you need to beat an opposition, okay? For example, if you are a javelin thrower, there's a lot of skill refinement needs with that, but you're not actually throwing a javelin to, hit somebody, which, could evade out of the way, etc. So tactical development is mainly geared towards team sports, for example. Anyway, skill development. Skill development is practicing the technical execution of movements, such as a golf swing or passing a ball, kicking a footy, whatever, to enhance consistency, efficiency. Remember, efficiency means using less energy to do the thing, accuracy, power, and coordination. So you can see if you refine all of these things in your skills, you will be able to improve your performance. Tactical development is, methods that improve the cognitive abilities of athletes. So maybe now we're in the mind, in the head, to read plays, like what's going on with the opposition, and make the right decisions or implement the correct skills at the right time, all right? So both of these are very, very important for most athletes, especially if you are a team sport type athlete. So there's 3 different methods in which we can do this stuff at training, which we're going to go through now. Okay, drills. Drills is our first set of training that we're going to go through. So specific practice of, specific practice of skills, often done massed, so you can doing lots of it, okay? You can't just practice a skill once or twice and you're like, yep, I've got it perfect. No, you don't. All right, often done massed and with an element of pressure to replicate skills in performance situations, all right? So for example, I could stand here and pass a footy to a mate and I may have like perfect technique and execution, which I wouldn't, but if I did. But then you put me on a footy field and like because of my anxiety and stress and everything else going on, I could be a complete Gumby passing a ball. So when we do drills, it's often done with that element of pressure. So let's say it'll be me and a person, but we'll also have the coach running at us to tackle me. So I have to pass the ball before I get tackled under that element of pressure. So that's what a good drill will try and implement. Drills will develop and refine movement patterns and hopefully correct movement patterns, I'll get to that in a minute, through thousands of hours of repetitive practice, often done in addition to regular training, all right? And I know this sounds like a lot, thousands of hours of practice in addition to training, but you gotta remember for elite athletes, this is their job, okay? If you look at my job as a teacher, I work on average about 50 hours per week, okay? 50 hours per week over a year is about 2,000 hours, okay? So all of a sudden, I've got thousands of hours of practice doing what I do, okay? So thousands of hours of kicking a ball or throwing a ball or hitting a golf ball isn't actually that much, all right? It's fairly regular. Now, I did mention here correct technique. Practice through drills, because it's massed, can also ingrain poor technique, okay? If I am hitting a golf ball and I'm hitting it wrong, and I can guarantee you I am because I am absolutely rubbish at golf, but then I do that 300 times at the driving range, well, guess what? I've just ingrained a movement pattern which is incorrect. So then it's going to take sort of double that amount of time to undo what my body knows and reteach it what I should be doing. So that's why expert coaching and video analysis tools are necessary for refinement and improved execution, okay? It's not good enough for me to just I mean, if I'm an elite athlete and I've got everything right, then yeah, I can go and hit 300 golf balls by myself. But if I want to get better, I need to be getting feedback. Okay, otherwise I'm not going to get any better. I'm just actually ingraining me being bad. Yeah. So for example, a golfer goes to the golf range and hits 300 balls daily, all right, to practice their driving, all right? Their coach goes with them and gives them feedback every 10 shots. So I'm the golfer, I hit 10 drives, coach says nothing, just lets me hit my 10 drives. After 10 drives, sit down. Okay, yep, I want you to try and put more weight on your front foot. So basically, the feedback will only sort of be one little thing at a time because we don't want to increase cognitive load. Actually, I might add these in. These are good things that you need to write down. So yeah, please add that in. One small feedback item at a time to reduce cognitive load. Because if I'm a golfer and I'm trying to correct 20 different things in one shot, it's not going to happen. My brain can't do that, okay? Let's focus on one thing at a time, okay? More weight on your front foot, okay? Weight on the front foot. Now I hit 10. Okay, now I want you to have a slightly wider stance, all right? So we've got the weight on the front foot thing down. Let's go wider. Hit 10. You get the point, all right? And yeah, write that down. That'd be really good to put in your answers too. Another one is like a lead kicker, stays back after training, okay? So they've gone to training. The focus of today's training session was tactics and aerobic work. So let's say that they've done 40 minutes of, aerobic interval training with the team, and then they worked on 20 minutes of tactics. Everyone else goes home or goes to the pub or whatever. The kicker stays back because now they have to complete an extra hour of conversion training, all right? Because not everyone converts, only this guy does, and usually have a backup. But this skill is only applicable to them, so they must put in the extra effort. It's not like this guy rocks up the training and everyone else is doing aerobic intervals and he's off to the side kicking, all right? He still needs to be as fit as everyone else on the team, plus he has an extra role to play. Yeah, so that's drills. Okay, so our second method is modified games, okay? So modified games are simply playing the sport with deliberate changes to something, okay, to force a certain outcome, all right? Things that change can be rules, constraints, and when I say constraints, I mean something like the field size or the time that the game runs for, the amount of players on a team, or the objective of the game. So maybe it's no longer just about scoring points, it could be something else. We do this to enhance cognitive abilities, so tactics, reading the plays, etc., and increase ball time. So not all sports have ball, but you understand the players are getting more hands-on time with their chosen sport, which leads to skill refinement, all right? So for example, a 5v5 AFL game, okay, significantly increases the amount of, ball time and skill execution practice, all right? There's 17 players on an AFL team. I'm going to go with that, and if it's wrong, I'm very, very sorry. I don't actually watch AFL, but it looks interesting. So if you've got 17 players on let's go with 17. You've got 17 players on a team, that's 34 on the field at any one time, right? Some of these players may only get, 10 minutes of actual hands-on ball time for a whole game. But now in a smaller situation, 5v5, they're all forced to have to do something and implement. So they're getting lots of practice with not only their tactics, so getting practice in reading defensive and offensive plays, but they're also getting practice to implement the skills that they've been practicing, handballing, sidestepping, kicking, marking, all that kind of stuff. So this gives players more opportunities to read defense, offensive plays and implement their tactical decisions, okay, through practice. Another example would be like footballers, like soccer players, all right, practicing defending the goal box only, okay? So let's say you've got, 4 or 5 defensive players, and they've got 4 or 5 attackers, all right? So it's still sort of like a 5-on-5, but the defenders don't have to then get the ball and then score, okay? It's only the attacking team that are attacking, and points are awarded to the defending team for every minute the attackers don't score, okay? So it's simply just about a possession type game, and they're just trying to stop the attackers getting in a situation where they could score a goal. So that's modified games. All right, so our third one is games for specific outcomes, okay? So games for specific outcomes is a highly targeted type of modified game, all right? So once again, we're modifying the game designed to isolate a specific game situation, okay, that people may find themselves in, all right? And we practice this so that when you actually find yourself in the game, you've had practice at it and you know how you should attack it, cognitively, but also skillfully. So this will enhance players' tactical decision making as well as their skill execution in the specified scenario, okay? It's not going to enhance their total game, but it is going to enhance a specific element of the game. And oftentimes these are weaknesses that players or teams will have. So we practice this so it's no longer a weakness. So for example, a basketball team practices zone defense only, all right? So they become familiar with their roles and areas when defending against attackers, all right? So let's say there's a basketball team, they're great offensively, but their defense sucks. So the coach gets them to practice zone defense, and they're going to practice zone defense for 30 minutes. So for 30 minutes only, 5 players are just going to defend, all right? So sort of like the previous scenario. And they're practicing zone defense so that they know, the player knows that when we switch into zone defense, this is my area of the court. My role is to defend anyone or intercept anyone that comes into my specific area, okay? If the ball is then passed around, then that becomes someone else's problem, but I need to stick to my area, all right? So we're focusing specifically on one scenario, which is just defending the key, and we've implemented a game situation for them to get practice with that. Another common one, and if you watch any amount of league, this is quite common that happens, is wingers in a 2v1 situation, all right? How many times does a winger score, right, on the wing, obviously, because there was one and another player and only one defender. So to counter this, at practice, we're going to set up a narrow strip of field. So let's say it's 10 meters, 10 by 10. And it's just going to be the winger. So I'm the winger and there's going to be 2 players coming at me, okay? What we'll say the inside person starts with the ball and then there's a winger on the outside of me. So I'm going to practice this, 20 times over and over and over again so that I can learn to make better tactical decisions when in this situation and therefore apply that during the game. So maybe my weakness is that I go for this player on the inside too early all the time. And then that player, because I've gone so early, they just pass it off to the winger and the winger scores consistently, okay? So now I'm going to practice holding my ground or maybe trying to run some interference, but not so far away that I'm taking attention from this guy. So then these guys become, the attackers come into a situation where, well, now they don't know, because if they pass it now, then I'm going to tackle the winger and I win. Or if they don't pass it now, I'm going to tackle this guy and I win again. Or because maybe I'm leaving it to the last minute and running so much interference that the person actually throws the ball to the winger, but because of the pressure they're under, he doesn't catch it, okay? And in all those situations, I win, all right, as the defending winger, all right? So I'll just do little situations like this to specify or specifically practice drills and skills and making the right tactics and decisions. So let's say if in this winger situation, I would have a go and let's say I failed, okay? The guy on the inside got past me. Coach would give me some feedback and say, hey, maybe you need to go a little bit earlier next time. So that's what I'll try. I'll try that. It could work, it may not. If it works, let's go again, and you just keep refining it, the same as when we talked about skills earlier. All right, so I'll rub this off and then we'll do a quick summary and we're done. All right, so in summary, for technical skill dominant sports, all right, such as golf, diving, shot put, etc. So these could be like individual sports, but also co-active sports, if you remember the keywords from year 11. So the co-active is where you are an individual, but you are still competing against other players. You just don't interact directly, all right? So drills are going to be the most relevant and create success through the repeatable, accurate execution of motor patterns. On the other hand, for team and tactical sports, football, netball, water polo, insert any other team sport, okay? These things are called interactive skills in sports. So a combination of drills, modified games, and games for specific situations are critical to develop tactical and cognitive skills, such as decision making, reading plays, that determine success in dynamic, unpredictable environments, which is sport itself. And that's the end of our training methods for skill and tactical development. Thanks.